Hey there everyone, this is Samuel Johnson and welcome back to the Xiaolin Perspectives. Before we get to talking about today's episode, a couple things. One, I'm sorry that this video is a day late. I would have done this vlog yesterday, but I honestly wasn't in the mood to do a vlog yesterday, so rather than just kind of canceling it outright, I figured I'd just delay it by a day. Apologies for everyone that wanted to see it yesterday, but I just, again, wasn't in the right mindset, so I figured I'd just wait another day. And secondly, I'm once again recording on my phone. My tablet, which I normally use to record my vlogs, is sadly too old. It's no longer updating YouTube, so I can no longer access it. I've been neglecting to replace it for a little while because despite the fact that I couldn't openly access YouTube, I could still upload videos, but recently it isn't even letting me do that, so at this point I unfortunately have to get a new tablet, and until that happens, I'm going to be using my phone to record. So for the next few videos, it's probably going to be higher quality, since I noticed that one video where I did my phone was actually was actually a lot better. But whatever, that's all. With all that out of the way, let's get to talking about episode 45 of Xiaolin Showdown, Oil in the Family. And this episode begins, as most episodes do, with a new Shen Gongwu revealing itself. In this case, a Shen Gongwu called the Rio Reverso. A Shen Gongwu that has the power to basically break down an object into the components that it was made from. So, like, say for example, you had a chair. If you pointed the Rio Reverso out of it, the wood in that chair would be reverted into a tree, and if you continued using the Rio Reverso on it, that tree would turn into an acorn. Basically, it has the power to turn back something's biological clock into something else. So, of course, it's a pretty powerful Shen Gongwu. I wouldn't call it OP, but it definitely has a lot of versatility. And so, as you do, everybody makes a grab for it. The Xiaolin monks, Jack Spicer, and even Wuya. As in this episode, we see that she still can sense Shen Gongwu, and since she's still trying to accumulate power so she can one-up Chase Young, she of course wants to go get it. As such, she ends up arriving on the scene while the Xiaolin monks are duking it out with Jack Spicer, and to give Jack Spicer a hand, she uses the Ruby of Ramses to just kind of levitate him around and smack him into the other Xiaolin monks, which in turn allows him to find the Rio Reverso before the good guys can lay a claim to it. As such, Jack makes a getaway, and Wuya doesn't go after him because she figures, the Rio Reverso is probably better off in his hands, and if she wanted, she could probably just go and get it. As such, once Jack gets back to his base, of course, he begins using the Rio Reverso for just funsies, as he begins reverting all these things back into their primal forms. He turns a football into a literal pig, he gets a chicken and wants to figure out which came first, the chicken or the egg, which results in the chicken transforming between both a chicken and an egg, so he'll never know. But as Jack is just playing with the Rio Reverso, one of his robots, specifically the Yes Bot, is leaking oil, which, this is the first time we've seen the Yes Spot since his debut in Panda Town. As such, Jack's original plan is to use the Rio Reverso on the Yes Bot to make him good as new, but he instead accidentally hits the oil, which in turn causes the oil to transform into a dinosaur. A baby dinosaur, but a dinosaur nonetheless. And Jack, well, he actually strikes upon a good plan, as he figures that if he can find more oil out in the world, he can revert them back into dinosaurs and basically build himself a dinosaur army. But the thing is, as Jack is planning this, we find that he's being spied on, as one of Chase Young's crows is there watching him, and unfortunately for, the bad guy, I guess fortunately for Wuya, this crow is currently working for her, as she made a quote-unquote deal with it earlier in the episode. And as such, it relays what Jack Spicer is planning back to Wuya, who thinks that such a plan is not deserving of an idiot, Jack doesn't deserve to do such an evil plan, so she wants to co-opt it. However, as she goes to Jack's house in order to get the Rio Reverso, the crow ends up flying to Chase, because guess what? The crow's a double agent. It knew it's loyal to Chase Young, and so it immediately goes to Chase and lets him know what Wuya's doing, and Chase, he just starts smiling evilly because, he kind of knew this is what Wuya would do. Yeah, earlier in the episode, he tried to warn Wuya against having any treacherous thoughts, but he's Chase Young. He knows how Wuya's going to act. Either way, back with Jack Spicer, we see he apparently does use the Rio Reverso on various other bits of oil, and does make himself an army of baby dinosaurs that he's able to sick on whoever he wants, and sick on people he does. As the Xiaolin monks end up arriving at Jack's house because, with their latest loss to Jack, really Wuya, but they didn't know that at the time. Raymundo wound up getting impatient and decided to storm Jack's house to get the Shen Gongwu. even though Master Feng told them that it was probably better just sit and wait and form a plan. As such, he arrives on the scene and he ends up contending with Jack's army of dinosaurs, and thankfully the other Xiaolin monks come in after him and give him some backup, but again, it's still a lot of dinosaurs. Thankfully, they're saved by the fact that the door to Jack's basement gets opened up, which in turn allows the dinosaurs to see sunlight for the first time, so they end up running off and ditching Jack, and so Jack has to go to plan B, i.e. sick a bunch of jackbots on the Xiaolin monks, then make a run for it while everyone's distracted. Which he does. He gets in his little Humvee and drives away with Raimundo chasing after him, but that's when Wuya arrives on the scene, and once again, using the Ruby of Ramses, she ends up screwing with everyone as she knocks Jack's Humvee into Raimundo, which in turn causes Jack to lose the Rio Reverso, and also in turn allows Wuya to get it. As such, using the Ruby of Ramses again, she once more has Jack fly into the Xiaolin monks to whoop their asses before she makes a hasty getaway with the Rio Reverso. As such, with the Xiaolin monks and Jack Spicer both kind of having suffered losses, they each kind of retreat to their home bases, which for Jack is literally just a minute walk since they're in his front yard. While the Xiaolin monks have to go back to the Xiaolin temple, and while Raimundo does take full responsibility for the fuck up since he was the one that was gotten impatient, the Xiaolin monks just tell him, no, it's no big deal. We all were chomping at the bit to get our shit back from Jack. In the meantime, though, the Xiaolin monks still have bigger problems, because now Wuya has the Rio Reverso, and they know that while Jack's plan was a kind of smart one, he thought too small. He was making baby dinosaurs, and well, if Wuya's gonna attempt the same thing that Jack did, she's going to be attempting it on a bigger scale. As such, cutting back to the bad guys, Jack Spicer, who's a little pissed that Wuya stole his Rio Reverso, goes to Chase Young and basically wants to form another partnership with him, since, well, Wuya is currently his evil partner, and so Jack figures that maybe he wants some payback against Wuya, as Jack says that he placed a tracer on the Rio Reverso so he knows where Wuya is. As such, a deal is struck. Chase Young will follow Jack to wherever Wuya is and basically administer punishment to Wuya for basically sneaking around behind his back while Jack can get the Rio Reverso. As such, the pair make their way off, and we see we cut back to the Xiaolin monks as they're looking for Wuya, and well, they find her in the ocean, specifically on an oil refinery or oil tanker. Hold on one second. Oil rig. I don't know why I was blanking on the word rig, but either way, yeah. She's on an offshore oil rig, and basically she uses the Rio Reverso to turn a giant patch of oil into a fully grown Tyrannosaurus Rex, which when the Xiaolin monks arrive on the scene, Wuya sicks on them. However, before the Xiaolin monks can fight the T-Rex proper, well, that's when Chase Young and Jack show up, and yeah, the instant Chase Young is there, Wuya is immediately petrified because, again, this is the guy that she's been sneaking around on. However, she has a fucking T-Rex on her side. She thinks that she can take him, and so she orders the T-Rex to attack everybody and eat them, but Chase once again flexes and shows why he's the evil mastermind, as he not only transforms into his monster form, but manages to liberate the T-Rex from Wuya. How? Using his Shengong Wu, the Eagle Scope. Yeah, remember that one? It turns out that there is a secondary purpose for the Eagle Scope beyond being the sister Shengong Wu to the Fountain of Wei, as apparently it has the power to give someone clarity, at least a higher form of intelligence. As Chase uses the Eagle Scope on the T-Rex, and it suddenly begins speaking with a refined British accent, and suddenly decides that it doesn't want to work for Wuya anymore. Although its hunger still remains, so what can you do? Either way, the T-Rex turns on Wuya and plans to eat her, and, well, to try and add a bit of screw you, especially since he's been annoying him this whole time, Chase throws Jack Spicer to the T-Rex and says, hey, when you're done with her, you can eat him. As such, now with Jack and Wuya now basically in the same boat as each other, Jack ends up pulling out his own Shengong with the changing chopsticks as he shrinks both himself and Wuya to get away from the T-Rex before they end up growing back. But the T-Rex ends up flinging them both right off of the oil rig using its tail, causing both of them to drop their Shengong Wu. In the meantime, though, despite the T-Rex's higher intelligence, it's still a very hungry predator and zeroes in on the Xiaolin monks, which in turn does lead to a battle between them and the T-Rex, which ends in the oil rig getting blown up but good. Ain't that lovely? Thankfully, the Shengang Wu are still intact, and in the middle of it all is the Rio Reverso, which was also dropped. Now then, the T-Rex, well, it's smart enough to know that this thing is what brought it back, so it figures, hey, if I get that thing, I can make more friends. And so it grabs the changing chopsticks and goes to the Rio Reverso, but Raimundo, not wanting a T-Rex to get that thing, grabs the Ruby of Ramses and runs for it as well, and so both grab the Shengang Wu at the same time, and Raimundo challenges the T-Rex to a Xiaolin showdown. And the challenge, which the T-Rex picks for some reason, it's a game of dinosaur chess, which I kind of love because it's literally just chess, except all the pieces are giant and look like dinosaurs. Either way, parameters met, Xiaolin showdown time. And yeah, like I just said, the entire oil rig converts into what looks like a crater of a flaming volcano as a giant chessboard forms around Raimundo and the T-Rex. And they basically just use their Shengang Wu / brute strength to knock their chess pieces around. And it's actually kind of amusing. Now, admittedly, I don't know a thing about chess. If you tried to play me in it, I promise you would win because I know nothing about it. But either way, Raimundo and the T-Rex are actually evenly matched, much to the surprise of the other Xiaolin monks. They didn't know Raimundo could play chess. But ultimately, things seem to be going against Raimundo as the T-Rex has him cornered between two of its own chess pieces. But it turns out Raimundo is leading the T-Rex into a trap as he manages to get all of his chess pieces surrounding, I think, either their king or queen. I forget which piece is the one that you have to secure in order to secure victory in chess. But either way, Raimundo basically played the dinosaur, and so he wins the showdown, winning the Rio Reverso and the changing chopsticks. As such, once everything is back to normal, all the Xiaolin monks congratulate Raimundo for a plan well executed. But there's still the matter of the T-Rex. They can't just let this thing roam around doing whatever it wants, but at the same time, it's a living creature. They can't just turn it back into oil. So, they have their own little plan. Using the changing chopsticks, they shrink the T-Rex down, as well as the other dinosaurs that Jack Spicer created earlier in the episode, and they bring them back to the temple. Put them in their own little terrarium so they can just feed them and treat them like pets. And so, I kind of like that. So the episode ends as the Xiaolin monks are marveling at their own little mini Jurassic Park before Dojo tries petting the T-Rex's belly, only for the T-Rex to bite his finger. Yeah, don't do that. Just don't do that, Dojo. Don't do that. Yeah, that was Oil in the Family, and honestly, I think it's a pretty good episode. I'm gonna kind of maybe call it a bit more filler because, well, aside from the Rio Reverso, nothing really gets advanced story-wise in the episode, but I do think it's enjoyable. Okay, there is an argument to be made that maybe some character development occurs, as there is meant to be a pathos in this episode about just not rushing into a situation guns blazing. That there is basically strength in it's beneficial to be able to just sit, wait, and think of a plan. Because sometimes if you just run in without a plan, it's going to bite you in the ass, which it's a simple moral, but it's a good one because, well, let's be honest, there are some stupid people out there who would charge in guns blazing if they were given the chance. So maybe sometimes it's a good idea to show that maybe, just maybe, sometimes it is a good idea to plan things out. And having that kind of tie back into the Xiaolin Showdown by having the showdown be a game of chess, which is a game entirely about strategizing and outthinking your opponent, I like that. It's nice. It's just that for me, despite the pathos being a good one, it's not implemented well throughout the episode. I think the only time that the pathos is ever actually shown throughout the episode is maybe in two scenes. The first, when Raimundo is angry that they got their asses whooped by Jack Spicer, really using Jack thanks to the Ruby of Ramses, and Master Fong pretty much tells him, don't go in guns blazing. If you go in there without a plan, it's going to hurt you. He doesn't say those exact words, but that is the general meaning of what he says. And then likewise, the second time is after the Xiaolin monks failed attempt at securing the Rio Reversal from Jack's place, and Raimundo takes full responsibility for the screw up, which I guess it's nice. I at least like that they're trying to at least tie everything back together. It's just that I don't know. It feels like it really wasn't the center focus in the episode. It's touched on, but it's not really the main focus. Which, if you want to have your moral be a more center focus that part of the episode, then I feel like they needed to try and implement it better. To try and give an example in the Tangled episode. Getting tongue-tied. back in the Tangled Web episode in season 1, that episode managed to work in the moral and pathos of the episode rather well into the plot, as part of the episode was about being able to focus and concentrate despite all outside distractions. And since Kimiko was the central focus of that episode, a lot of things were happening to get on her nerves. People disrespecting her, using her stuff without her permission, constantly being talked down to by Omi because he didn't understand the female and had to use a book whose customs were severely outdated and in which he was treating as fact, which of course pissed for Kimiko off even further. So by the end of the episode, to have her basically finally find her focus and be able to use that to achieve her goals actually did feel like a good way of implementing the message. In this episode, it's not, like I said, it's not awful. It's just that I feel like that if they wanted to try and implement the whole plot of actually thinking things through, don't jump in guns blazing, they could have implemented it better. Maybe actually showcase more Raimundo not kind of striking out more and screwing up, just doing things on his own rather than having backup and so forth. Maybe actually have him deal with it. Maybe actually have him deal with the fallout and anger. Which, admittedly, I'm guessing the reason why they didn't do that is because we've seen Raimundo sulking before, and he has learned his lessons in the past. It's just that, again, I feel like if you wanted the pathos to stick better, they probably should have focused on the message and the moral more. It's not bad for what it is. I do like how they sort of showcase Raimundo getting character development from this in the episode. I really wish that it could have been done a lot better, is all I'm saying. With that said, though, the rest of the episode is standard Xiaolin showdown fare. It's fun, it's creative. The real reverse, though, I think is a pretty cool Shengang Wu. Being able to revert objects back into a base form, so to speak, is a pretty overpowered ability, but one that I think is utilized well in the episode, especially when Jack and Wuya realize this thing can turn oil into dinosaurs. So that, I think, is honestly pretty damn cool. The episode does continue bringing back the Jack and Wuya dynamic. A different angle of it, admittedly, but I do like how they showcase it. Since Wuya's technically not aligned with Jack anymore, she's basically just using him and abusing him. And something I love is that in the episode we get to see more of Wuya being her own schemer. Like we see that she's still angry and down because, well, she's not at her full power, and on top of that, she still has to deal with the ramifications of having a physical body, which means she's got to keep herself clean, cared for, tidied up, get makeup ready, have her hair done, and of course need to use the evil ladies room whenever she needs to go. But at the same time, the fact that she's still subservient to Chase Young, it keeps biting her. And again, the writing for her is exactly what you would expect from Wuya. She's still conniving, she's still sinister, she's still a two-faced bitch, and all of that is stuff we've seen with Wuya in the past, and it's implemented well. So the fact that we now see her be able to implement her evil plans implement her evil plans because she has a body now, it's actually nice. And again, like I said, I liked seeing her dynamic with Jack Spicer throughout the episode. It was fun. I loved it. It's the fact that she was still treating Jack as if he was still working for her while also stabbing him in the back at several points. It's lovely. I love it. If I can honestly define their relationship, it's like an evil mother-son dynamic, and it's still very fun, and I love it. And I love the fact that Chase Young throughout the episode was fully aware that Wuya was double-crossing him and doing shit behind his back. He just needed to wait for the right moment to catch her. And so by having him appear at the end of the episode, use the eagle scope to turn the dinosaur against her, and then just throw both her and Jack under the metaphorical bus by offering to feed them to the dinosaur, I kind of loved it. It was kind of nice. It's just Chase Young being a smug bastard, and I can't help but love him for that. Although I don't know if Wuya is able to go back to him after this episode. I think she does, but don't quote me on that. Again, Season 3 is the season of Xiaolin Showdown that I have the least amount of knowledge about, so apologies if I get some factoids wrong here and there. Which, actually, get on the subject of Chase Young, let's go back to the Eagle Scope. Like I said, I like that we actually see the Eagle Scope utilized on its own. And again, for starters, I like that we are seeing seeing a sister Shengang Wu being able to be used individually, which immediately makes it a hell of a lot better than the stuff with the mosaic scale and the monarch wing. thing. Seriously, to this day, I still have no idea what those Shengang Wu do alone or together. So I kind of like that both the Fountain of Wii and the Eagle Scope do have their own individual uses. And the fact that the Eagle Scope has the power to basically raise one's intelligence, focus them on stuff and so forth, it makes sense why it would be a good Shengang Wu to be associated with the Fountain of Wii, since the whole idea with the Fountain of Wii is that it overloads your head with knowledge to the point where you can't focus on one thing. So having something like the Eagle Scope there to help you figure out, sparse through the knowledge and figure out what you need to find, what's important and so forth, makes sense. And so I like that we see the Eagle Scope used individually in the episode. On top of that, again, the dinosaur plan, pretty creative plan. I liked it, and for the most part, it was done well. Jack Spicer, of course, did it lesser, but it was still a creative idea, and it was nice to see him actually implement it. And by the end, when Wuya brought back the T-Rex, and then Chase made it intelligent to the point where it was the thing that the good guys fought in the Xiaolin showdown. It's fun. I liked it. And by the end, I liked the fact that all the dinosaurs got put in a little terrarium. So it's cute. I like it. So yeah, on the whole, not a really big episode, but for the most part, it's enjoyable. It's pretty good. Nothing too amazing, but it's fun Xiaolin showdown. It's fun Xiaolin showdown as you expect. So I had a good time. I enjoyed myself. So I think that's really all I have to say. Overall, just a good episode. So yeah, I think that's all. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm Samuel Johnson, and tune in next week as we see the return of Master Monk Guan and everything that entails. So till then, hope you have a good Saturday and take care.